How will a consumer privacy Bill of Rights affect your small business social marketing? Privacy is one of the major concerns today, if not the major concern in the online world. I would be remiss if I didn't share with you what our communities, davidsbarter.com communities, what our position is on privacy, and we hold your privacy and our privacy very, very sacred. It's always been the way that I have operated. So information that you share with us in the community will never be private in nature and hosted on our servers. You might leave our community through a link and go to somebody else's servers, and at that point you make the decision if you want to relinquish private information. It's a very touchy situation right now, and as most of the world now knows, yesterday, March 1st, Google changed their privacy the means of implementation of their privacy policy. And of course, the eyes of the world are watching that. My position is, as always, if you're going to give up that information, it's your choice to give it up. Once you do give it up, and if somebody is asking you for that information, they're going to use it for some purpose. So the more information that you give them, the more that they can use. Back to the policy of our community about privacy, is that we don't want private information. We don't want the liability of hosting private information on our servers, because if you host that information and there's ever a breach to your community, then you're potentially liable for all the information that has been breached. So I just don't want to have anything to do with that. So for instance, when you create a community marketing profile, which is complimentary, there's only 6 fields of information, and it's all marketing information that you would want to share with other folks to create value for yourself and to show them what value you can bring into their life. You don't need private information to do that. You need good, conceptual, creative information to be able to do that. I want to share a great article, probably the best that I have read on the whole privacy thing, in an article in Target Marketing publication. I got this as an email. I got it a couple days ago. Gwen Freeman is the author of this, and Gwen did an outstanding job of researching and then sharing that information with us. I want to read to you her first paragraph, and then just go over the 7 principles in the Bill of Rights, information that you should know in terms of how do you make decisions about marketing. A little over a year ago, the Commerce Department and the Federal Trade Communication issued preliminary reports from their respective task forces that were looking at online privacy. It is now 14 months later, and the Commerce Department has released a Consumer Privacy Bill of Rights. In 2 weeks, the FTC is expected to release its final privacy document. The question on marketers' minds is, how have things changed over the past year, and how will the Consumer Privacy Bill of Rights impact your business? Key question. I think I probably should also read this now that I take a look at it. The Consumer Privacy Bill of Rights is actually one element in a privacy framework that also includes a multi-task holder process to determine how the principles within the Bill of Rights will be translated into commercial codes of conduct. Effective enforcement that balances FTC and state attorney general interests, and increase international interoperability. Built on the current Safe Harbor network. When you talk about global and international, that's when it becomes a very challenging position to have to defend for yourself, because the rules around the world are different, and in fact, almost always we see somebody from around the world objecting to something that is actually happening here in the United States. Google always gets challenged. Facebook gets challenged. Those challenges are never going to stop. Real quickly, the Consumer Privacy Bill of Rights consists of 7 principles. Individual control, giving the consumer the right to exercise control over what data businesses collect and how they use it. The control being, if you don't want anybody to use it, don't give it to them. In the past, it's been referred to as a choice. Transparency, number 2, transparency gives consumers the right to easily accessible and understandable statements about privacy and security. Well, let me address security as our position on security within davidsbutler.com community. We want the community to be as secure as possible to protect all of the members of our community, as well as the community in general. And to do this, we've taken extra steps to create all the activity of the community inside our own firewalls, so that there's no outside interference whatsoever. And in fact, you have to register to get into the community. Once you do, then you're able to take advantage of all the member services, and those member services are growing almost, well, certainly on a weekly basis. I was going to say almost on a daily basis. But we want to protect your security and your privacy. And we will take the extra steps necessary and spend extra resources to make that happen for you. Part of it, too, is the individual who has created the framework, the technology framework of the community. In this case, Curtis, being familiar with things that are happening out in cyberspace on an hourly basis, he has painstakingly created a technology environment where those things they aren't going to happen in our community. Sure, every community is penetrable. Ask the folks from the organization that's name is slipping my mind for the moment, but they can get into any program there is, with the idea being, if somebody developed the code for that program, there is somebody who could develop the uncode for that program. That's what it's all about. Anonymous is the name of the group. They made the headlines this week, actually. Anonymous did. Okay, number 3, respect for context. Context is most closely associated with purpose and use. Number 4, security gives consumers the right to secure and responsible handling of their personal information. We addressed that. Access and accuracy gives consumers the right to access and connect personal data based on the sensitivity of that data. Number 6, focused collection gives consumers the right to inspect reasonable limits to the data a company collects and maintains. And number 7, accountability. Accountability gives consumers the assurance that their data is being handled by companies who are adhering to these principles. It's a most important area, most important concern. It's making the headlines. politicians want to jump on the grandstand. They take interesting positions on that too. Sometimes they'll enforce or they'll create legislation targeted at you and I consumers, but because they are members of the government, they're able to do things that you and I are not able to do. And the thing that comes to mind is the telemarketing protections. Who can make an outbound telephone call? It seems like a politician can always make an outbound telephone call. We will continue this discussion in the very near future.